I want to know from you how you've done it badly. If you've got any wisdom to share or anything to avoid, do get in touch, 85058. Because I want to ask you as well, would you pay up to $4,000 to learn how to pull a woman, to land a date? Believe it or not, many men have. My next guest, Kezia Noble, calls herself a dating and attraction expert for men. She runs boot camps so far for over 100,000 people. This is over a decade, helping them increase their success rate with women. She claims she can help you win back your ex-girlfriend, and more controversially, she says she can show you how to get, and I'm quoting her directly, a girl to have sex with you fast. Kezia joins me now. I'm going to speak shortly, Kezia, to one of the men that you have helped. But welcome to the programme.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So, first of all, why did you get into this?
This all started back in 2006. I was approached by somebody who told me they were a pickup artist. I didn't even know what that was.
What is that?
It's basically a guy who picks up girls. That's it.
For a living, or, I mean...
Well, this is it. I mean, I thought it was just a guy that was running routines and sort of weird techniques on women, so I was a real skeptic. But he told me that he runs boot camps also, and that he helps guys to become better with women. So I was intrigued. He asked me to come down, have a look at one of the boot camps. Two things I noticed. First thing is that there are techniques out there and skills that can help guys incredibly. The second thing I noticed is that there wasn't any real honest female advice. It was kind of like, just be nice, just be yourself, just smile more, be more confident. I'm a very direct, outspoken person, so I just gave my feedback to the guys that were there. Thought they wouldn't want to see me ever again after that, but actually I had a lot of requests for private one-on-one training. Okay, so this was really weird for me because I didn't realize I was even good at this. I've just always been very outspoken.
And you were working as a model before this? What was your job when you were thinking of going into this?
No, I was modelling, yeah.
You were modelling. So this was a whole change for you?
Massive change. And basically, I just started up a YouTube channel that attracted, I think it's got now 60 million views. Then I was approached by a publishing company who offered me a book deal, launched my own company. I've got 30 people now working for me, trainers, instructors, and the rest history.
This is a serious operation then. Okay, so who's coming to you? How old are these guys? Are they mainly British?
They're a lot of Americans, and yeah, I'd say split between Americans and British. The average age actually used to be mid-30s. This is really weird. So it was mid-30s when guys split up with a girlfriend maybe, or their friends have settled down. So they're that kind of like no man's sort of land period. But now it's getting increasingly younger. So for instance, we've got like 4 guys on this week who are all under 25.
And why do you think that is?
I think a lot of people, especially British guys, have embraced this whole kind of idea of self-development. Going out there, getting some help from an expert. I think that's something that the Americans have always been, very proactive with. And I think now the British people are starting to say, hey, I've got a problem and it's okay to go and seek help.
But also social media, I suspect, and dating services online have had an impact on people's ability to flirt or connect in the real world.
Massively. Social skills have gone way down. People, hiding behind their screens. And then eventually, these guys, they might do well on online dating. They might make some sort of online connections, but eventually they're going to have to meet this girl. And if their social skills suck, then, it's back to square one.
So just to clarify, I did say there how much this costs. And that's your kind of private service, isn't it? The £4,000, that's the deluxe end of this. The guys that are coming to see you for a class where they're with other people, how much does that cost?
Our American boot camps are $1,800 and our UK ones are £400.
Okay, so still a serious wad of cash to part with because you want to get better at essentially pulling women. And what do you teach them? What are the main tips? If you could give some tips now to get a date.
Oh, okay. So basically, we mainly focus on helping them overcome approach anxiety, helping them feel better about themselves. A lot of guys are stuck in, a negative cycle where they think that women, maybe they've had a bad relationship with a woman, they haven't had any success, they feel very, very bad about themselves. They think lots of women are out of their league. They're going to get a negative reaction. So we help them overcome their approach anxiety. We also help them massively their conversation skills, because a lot of guys find that just running out of things to say is like the biggest sticking point. And it sounds so simple. They might be really good conversationists with people that they're relaxed with, such as close friends, but when faced with a beautiful woman, or any woman sometimes for that matter, they can suffer from something called decision-making paralysis, we call it, which is when you just don't know what to say. You can't make a decision to say anything because you feel so under pressure, and you're so outcome dependent of the situation. And the third one is getting out the friend zone, or this is quite controversial. Help stop the guys just being another nice guy.
So what do you do with that? I mean, I've just had a message here from someone on Twitter. I need help. No girl wants to ever go on a date with me. Actually, never kissed a girl or had sex. Can you ask your guests to help me? I mean, that's a different case, perhaps, that's more specific. We'll come back to that. But the idea that he's probably got friends who are women, which is what you're talking about here.
And they're probably giving him really lame advice.
What do you do if your friend is a girl, you're a guy, you like her, you don't want to just be the friend? What do you say?
Okay, so that depends on how long you have been in the friendship for. So if you've been in a friendship with a girl for 6-10 years, then it's going to take a lot more time for her to basically have a different perspective of you and the relationship. It's going to take time. So it's a slow burner. If you've only been friends, if you've been friend zoned and it's like you've known the girl for like 4 weeks, that's pretty easy. There are around 5 steps. They're quite long-winded though, but there are 5 steps to helping a guy get out of the friend zone.
Okay, well then, without doing a long-winded one, let me go back to your first one, which was you deal with approach anxiety. That talks about how you actually go up to a girl and talk to her. What would be an opening bit of advice you would give on that?
Okay, so the first one that I give is, a lot of guys, first of all, they look at a girl and they immediately say she's out of my league, she's probably got a boyfriend, she's probably busy, she's probably not going to be very nice to me. And what they're doing is they're already building her up. You know, they're putting her on a much, it's not a level playing field. So I actually give them a little mind management tip, which is, when you see the girl, okay, look at her and then find 2 ways that she could improve herself physically, just physically. Now, this is quite difficult because they'll be quite dazzled by her beauty, because a lot of times when guys are quite worried and they see a beautiful girl, they sort of give her like an 11 out of 10. They'll say she's 11. And I say, well, just look. Okay, it can be really small things like, is she chewing gum? Like, is she slouching? Are her nails not done properly? Anything. And it's ridiculous, okay, because she might be absolutely perfect. But you've got to find these 2 things in your head. And what happens is it actually manages all the kind of like negative loop that's going around in your head, all this like, you know, I'm not good enough. And it puts you in a more powerful position when you do that.
So you've got to do them down before you can
but you don't say that to them. You know, I don't ever believe in putting a woman down or making her feel inadequate. But you have to sometimes do it in your head, because you start building the person up to be something, you know, just based on the fact that they look good.
Well, some people listening to that might find that helpful, and I'm sure some of the people you've helped have found that helpful. Some people might find that kind of odd and maybe even odious, because it's the idea that you're gaming this, and actually it should just be about being who you are.
It is gaming this. That's what you have to do. You have to game this, seriously. Because what else are you going to do? Oh, you know,
just, I don't know, like, be yourself?
No, that's the worst advice.
Worst advice, to be yourself when you're trying to get with a girl you like.
Yeah. That's what guys have been told. All the guys that have come to me have been fed that, have been told that by their female friends. Just be yourself. It doesn't mean anything.
Let's come back to that, because I'm really interested to explore that more. But I've got another question. You do have this video online, how to get a girl rather to have sex with you fast. And in it you have tips to get past a woman's last minute resistance.
Horrible terminology, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, you chose it. I'm quoting it.
Yeah, I know, because it's marketing. So obviously I want to get hits on my video. But if you actually look at the content, have you watched the video?
I've had a look.
It is probably the best solution out there. And every guy that I know...
How would you summarise it?
Okay, so basically, it's daytime radio. I've got to be careful here.
I trust you.
Okay, thank you. So, you know, you're in the bedroom and everything's going well, and she's sort of just like said, actually, you know, I don't want to do this. Most guys will do 1 or 2 things. They will either sulk. Okay, they'll sulk, and, you know, the girl will think, oh God, what an idiot. I'm glad I didn't go any further with this. Or the guys will become quite nasty about it. They sometimes will try and persuade her. They'll use logical persuasion to get her into bed. And I think both of those don't work. They do not work. So I say to a guy, you know what? Just friend zone her. Just be her friend. Just put on the television, switch on the light, and say, listen, it's cool. I'm fine with that.
Well, as you say, there's nothing much wrong with that advice, but your marketing, the way of marketing it, could be seen, I understand you want to get hits, as something that would make women feel uncomfortable.
Absolutely, but I do have about 10 women that work for me, including my sister, so they don't feel very uncomfortable doing this.
Well, let me bring in a man who has used your techniques and been to your classes. Ewan, welcome to the programme. Why did you take one of these masterclasses?
Basically, because I was one of those guys who could talk to friends and family and be okay. And as soon as I was in a situation where I like someone, I would just completely go to pieces every time. The adrenaline, the feeling, I couldn't say anything at all.
So what have you learned since? I mean, lots of men and women, I'm sure, nodding their heads listening to this.
Mm-hmm. Basically, what you're actually learning is kind of to, I suppose, just bring the best of yourself when you need it. That what you were saying before about be yourself. It is actually terrible advice, because if yourself is really nervous or you see the wrong thing, then being yourself is just going to perpetuate that. So I suppose being like your best self, and for me it was just having access to the way that you are with your friends or whatever when you need it.
Well, I know that you've got a girlfriend now, which is a lovely sort of side of this, in the sense of that's what you were hoping to get. Let me bring in Zoe Strimble at this point. She's a historian of relationships from Sussex University. Zoe, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Two things to go back to then. The idea of being yourself being a terrible piece of advice. What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, I find this kind of fascinating because from a historical perspective anyway, around the middle of the 20th century, relationships totally changed. And what happened was that people suddenly discovered the joy and the excitement of being themselves and of authenticity. And whereas previously relationships were maybe a little bit more pragmatic or there were economic concerns, suddenly in the post-war period, authenticity, being yourself, was the game in town, and it was extremely exciting for people. Now, we're hearing from men who are kind of grumpy or upset that they haven't been able to pull enough girls. But of course, at the time,
or maybe pull any girls,
or pull any girls, and fair enough. And sexual frustration is a serious and real thing. But I mean, I think if you look back in time, it was expected that you would only ever pull one girl and then you'd marry her. And I'm not saying I want to return to that, but in that context, authenticity was exciting, and there was no suggestion that you'd want to then flatten out that slow process with sort of tools and sort of various kind of like treating it like a business, or the logics of the market, almost treating yourself as a product. And that's really what unfortunately I think has crept into dating now, to the extent that I'm not sure if people are even keeping their eye on the whole point of dating, especially as an adult. I mean, a lot of this sounds quite infantile to me.
But hang on, we've got you in sort of nodding along there.
Can I say something? Yeah. I mean, I totally agree. I think authenticity is by far the most important thing. And that's for me, the entire point. Is that when you're nervous, you're not being authentic. You're saying some stupid line that you read in a book or you saw on YouTube, or something that you're using as a crutch because you don't have anything else. You don't have, in that moment, the access to your best memories, your best, everything that makes you you. Whereas when you sort of go through the process that I went through, you return to who you actually are. So you can be funny or witty or charming or just normal or just who you actually are in that moment. That for me is the whole point. You know what I mean?
Sorry, what do you make of that?
Well, I mean, what interests me about that is, again, this question of speeding everything up and flattening it out. I mean, you're talking literally on the level of having the right comment and shutting yourself up to stop yourself.
No.
Decide if you're. No, sorry. But what I'm saying is that I have a genuine question here, which is,
sure.
What for you would be to let someone get to know you, warts and all? Like, what kind of time frame might that be? There must be people in your life who know you and care about you long before you learn techniques to not say the wrong thing. And I just think it's interesting. Are you foreclosing the possibility that a woman could slowly get to know all of those awkwardness and nervousness and still fall in love with you?
Not at all. I mean, I'm in a relationship now for a year, and I love that. You're all peccadillos that are the things that you love about someone. But when you first meet them for the first 2 seconds, if all you show is, and it's a stranger, so it's not someone you're going to have a friendship with, and all you show is nervousness, and you can barely even have a conversation, you're not going to have a chance to find out this person's kind of fantastic idiosyncrasies. You're not going to have that chance at all. So I completely agree with you. Those are the best.
But what about you? Can I come back in here? You, what about the idea that pulling by manipulation is wrong? That's a message I've just had in from someone who's listening. So you're not manipulating. You agree with that?
Yeah.
But by going to somebody who can help you come up with these sorts of tips and all of that side of it is manipulating yourself to an extent to be somebody different for a bit, so you get the girl.
Totally disagree in every way, shape,
and form. Well, this is what's just come in from a listener.
I know, because I suppose they don't know because I haven't done it, or well, like I said, it's exactly what I'm saying. I would never want to manipulate or deceive. If you can pull, and I hate that word anyway, pull someone by manipulating or deceiving someone, and that wasn't you finding that person anyway. So it doesn't matter. It's like I said, it's becoming who you normally are. When you're at your best, with your closest friends, your most open, who you actually are. When you're nervous in a club, that's not who you are.
Zoe, let me bring you back in. Final word on this. Do you see any case for people, especially now in something which wasn't around in the post-war era, being online more than they ever have before? They may have lost some of those flirting techniques, what Kezia was saying earlier. Do you see any reason why you might need a bit of a helping hand?
I mean, I think people have always sought helping hands in various ways, and if the market produces this service for a demand, then that's fair enough. I guess what I would just say is that as adults, to be like emotionally mature adults, it just strikes me that sometimes this sort of gamification that we see in the entire kind of way Tinder and online dating has gone needs to be kept in check, and that you need to keep your eye on the long-term goal, which is like a real relationship based on sort of slow getting to know people, I suppose, and that while it's fine to sort of seek some tips, I suppose, you don't want to end up being in a position where not only are you kind of gaming the system, but the women that you're supposedly doing this for become complicit in your gaming. And actually, you need to think about it from the perspective of the woman. The woman then becomes an accessory in your sort of strategy. So I just think there's some
vice versa if you're doing it to men, I suppose. Zoe Strimple, I'm going to have to leave it there. Historian of relationships from Sussex University. Good to talk to you. Great to talk to you, Ewan. Thank you for being generous and sharing your experience. Very good to talk to you as well, Kezia Noble, who's the dating and attraction expert that kick-started this whole conversation. Lots of you reacting. I'll come back to some of your reactions in just a moment. I also want some of your dating tips. We're heading into a bank holiday. Let's help each other out here. 850